Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I also posted a link to the Marvel fan site, sorry, DC fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We're continuing our Inktober coverage in which I'm going to try to show you a black and white book each day, and we're going to be looking at The Killing Joke Noir. I have this book. I love this book, and I love these Batman Noir. DC for some reason stopped. They released quite a few of them. I've covered the Batman Year One and the Dark Knight Returns, and so today we're gonna do the Killing Joke. As I mentioned, I'm covering these black and white stuff during October. Alan Moore is our writer. Brian Bolland is our artist. Now, I am not going to go through this story. I've actually gone through the story before. But in this case, we are just going to look at the wonderful art of Brian Bolland. This is back when Brian Bolland was still working analog, meaning this was all done by hand. He uses computer now. I mean, it's still done by hand, but without. He now works exclusively digitally, and so this was done before that here. So wonderful. Uh, this is a wonderful story that's been covered 100 million times by a bunch of different YouTubers here, and so that's not our purpose here. You can get this story any which way you want to. So Batman, we're just beautiful rendering here. Batman basically. The Joker's gonna try to drive him insane here. That's the whole purpose of this story. It is one of the greatest stories of all time. Um, but as I mentioned before, that's not what we're doing here. So, um, Brian Boland is the only other person that I can say is stylistically like Brian Boland. Not really. There's two people. Ethan Van Sciver is one of them, and if you look at Ethan Van Sciver's art, you will see a lot of Brian Boland in there. The other person is Gary Frank. Now, Gary Frank doesn't really, for the most part, ink himself, but if you look at his pencils, and he is a lot of this line. Um, Brian Boland puts does render a lot of black, but you see all this hatching, and it's very unique. That is, I think, one of the things. Brian Boland is mostly a cover artist, and there's going to be a lot of covers in this book toward the end that we will go through. But Brian Boland's style is so unique. There are some artists that I find, this is, of course, the shooting of Barbara Gordon. There are some artists, they're all unique. Every artist is unique, but there's a lot of artists that fit in a particular category. Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, J. Scott Campbell. They all look different, but they all fall within the same aesthetic. Frank Miller, Chris Samney, Tim Sale, Klaus Janson, all that kind of stuff. Brian Boland is pretty unique. Um, Another guy that is pretty unique is Kevin Nolan. Nobody, actually, Kevin Nolan might be one of the most unique individuals out there. And so their art, like Brian Boland, it just sticks out. That poor guy is still in there. And so, gosh, sometimes I wonder what Alan Moore's mind is like. So, this is what I mean. Look at this. Look at all this hatching. And right here, just so unique. It's so cool. This is a beautiful book. I bought it. I bought this book through Amazon, and I still think it's in print. Or at least if they still have copies, I suggest you go into Amazon and get the Noir. There's a lot of them out there. And so part of what I'm doing through this Inktober is just going through. I've also covered, this is just so cool. I've also covered a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I think are pretty cool. So I'll have an Inktober playlist. So feel free to check that out if if there's you want to see more cool black and white. I don't know what I'll do next October. So I don't have that much in black and white. So of course, the Joker is the first Red Hood, and that was he basically was trying to make ends meet with his wife. She was pregnant with a new baby, but she ended up dying. They still made him do a job. Batman interfered, and he fell into that chemical and became the Joker. This is just so cool. And we this oh my gosh, just so awesome. Um, and so we have Batman's greatest enemy. I think Joker is one of the most unique characters as well. That level of craziness, great panel. Level of craziness just um it's so unique to just Joker. I know Norman Osborn is sort of Joker and Lex Luthor combined. That's pretty cool here. But they were first, but you know, um Doctor Doom is another villain that's wholly unique. But eventually, bad guys, just fit in a couple of categories, either the ones that want domination or the ones that want. So this is I think I don't know where this came from. I think it was in the 90s they released like a collection of the origins of different and characters. Look at this. Look at Boland's art. So yeah, villains. Oh my gosh, I just keep getting distracted by the art. The world domination type villain, the businessman type villain, the henchman type villain, and then kind of like your crazy guy type villain. So, and this is from the Batman Black and White. This kid basically has a plan to take out Batman and how he's going to uh would be able to kill him. And so he has plans here of what he wants to do. So he thought maybe here that he would take a girl and lock her up or try to kill the Pope, but he decided Batman's the way that I would. So then he says this is how I would do it, and um, yeah, it's just if you guys have ever seen the Batman Black and White, I think there's 4 volumes of it. Check those out. I have all of them. They are so cool. Man, Brian Boland. So Brian Boland, I think, wrote this as well. And then bang. Look at that. Wow. And so then he's like, well, then after I kill him, um, I'll just go live a normal life. So these are some of the covers he has done. And this is just This is now in, I think, entering his digital phase. And the thing is, he works old fashioned digital. So he still works with one of those old tablets. So he has to look at the screen. So he doesn't work on like these modern ones. He still works in the old ones. He goes to explain why. He's just set in his ways. Man, what beautiful art. Man, Hugo Strange here. Look at that. As I mentioned, Brian Bolin is one of the most unique. You can really tell when you've got a Brian Bolin cover. These Brits like Brian Bolin and Frank Quietly, and I mean, I know Frank Quietly's from Scotland, but it's all United Kingdom. And oh my goodness, I just said his name, Gary Frank. Look at this, the giant penny in Aquaman. I hate this guy. So I'm actually not a big fan of Aquaman. Could care less. If you are one of the few Aquaman fans, that's okay. You can love Aquaman. I just don't care for him. Look at this. This is just remarkable. Great covers here. As I mentioned, if check out Amazon. I if there's these are still in print. Uh, I You should have this on your collection. Everything that I show you guys is stuff that I have. I just Digital's just easier to show. Man, what uniqueness. I mean, I'm just mesmerized. Just mesmerized by this wonderful art of Brian Bolin. Love this, just the black and then just the feathering as Todd likes it, but he just puts so much of it. It's just so unique. And there we go. Brian Boland's Killing Joke Noir. So, um, great book. Get this book if you can. It's really cool. So, like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.